drive by King. Wheels through the lane, now spins back. Ja hangs, puts it in! Oh, what a shot by Morant in the clutch! So hot. Oh, Jaren said no! Because he doesn't put on a play, comes up with a monster block.
Can't wait. It's time to get it popping.
It's gonna be crazy. The fans are gonna be loud. We need just energy.
Yes. Back to Jaren for the flush.
We're gonna need, the Forum rocking. We're gonna need, everybody in Memphis to be out there to come to support.
When the fans are good, we're good. Simple as that.
A Bane 3, yes sir! Desmond Bane with ice water in his veins.
We'll ride the energy together.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedExForum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedExForum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right. I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Midtown Manhattan, New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis, producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you didn't think the Atlanta Hawks would be the way to snap your little losing streak, because that didn't happen. My God, did it not happen. Rough night inside FedExForum. The team's only all-star went down early. Seemed to be an ankle injury. Those are never fun, or at least rarely fun. And then, of course, the game could not have ended more stupidly. So now it's a 3-game losing streak. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When I finish this open, we're going to take a break. Come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Cooper Flagg was awesome again last night, so Duke won big again last night. Historic dominance in the ACC for Jon Scheyer's Blue Devils. I'll give you some interesting numbers. We'll do that in about 40 minutes. Houston beat Kansas last night, now has a 4-game lead over Texas Tech in the Big 12 standings. Hall of Fame stuff from our old AAC friend Kelvin Sampson. I'll give you some crazy numbers connected to him. We'll do that in just a bit. WWE champ Cody Rhodes was reportedly actually injured during the Elimination Chamber on Saturday night. It appears hip-hop superstar Travis Scott is to blame.
Come on, Travis.
I'll tell you what happened. We'll try to show you what happened. We'll do that a little later on in the show. With Luka Doncic traded and now Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving both hurt, the Dallas Mavericks have announced that they're raising ticket prices for next season. You can imagine how that went over. We'll laugh about that weird franchise a little later on in the show. And ESPN has graded the offseason of every Major League Baseball franchise. I'll tell you who got A's. I know one franchise that got an A. I'll tell you who got A's. We'll do that during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out. We'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But we're going to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 61 of a scheduled 82 was played last night inside FedExForum. If you watched, you likely know it was a disaster. If not, take my word for it. Disaster. Final score, Hawks 132, Grizzlies 130. The Grizzlies had the ball in the final seconds of a tie game. Tie game, your ball, shot clock off. You should never lose a game in regulation when that is your reality. But because the franchise point guard was unavailable last night for the 24th time this season, the ball that would normally be in Ja Morant's hands was instead in Desmond Bane's hands in the final seconds. And it didn't go well. Kyra, let's watch the dumbest sequence in the history of Grizzlies basketball. Let's watch it together.
7. Desmond Bane barrels in. Stolen by Daniels. Ahead to LeVert. Parrish goes up. Scores! And the buzzer! It's all over! Karis LeVert wins it for the Hawks.
Final score, Hawks 132, Grizz 130. Your game-winning opportunity turns into their game-winning opportunity. And so now you're 1-3 on the homestand. And I don't mean to bury the lead, but yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. has an ankle injury. He only played 2 minutes. Bennett, tell me how much fun you had last night watching all that unfold in person.
Oh yeah, man. It was a blast. I don't even know where you want me to begin. Should I start with the 20 turnovers, the fans booing? We wasted a Desmond Bane 35-point triple-double. Gave up 80 points in the paint. It was brutal. It was a brutal night inside FedExForum last night. It was wild watching the crowd. Like, I mean, everybody was just stunned, man. Because the thing is it just the Grizzlies had control like through a lot of that second half, and it just the way it slipped away, all the turnovers down the stretch, and then to lose off of the worst turnover of the game, it was awful. It was awful. That's really all I can say.
Like, the score is tied, shot clock's off, you have the ball. I don't care what level of basketball that is, but it should especially be true at the professional level because you're professional basketball players. You know, 8-year-olds, you never know what's going to happen in an 8-year-old basketball game. As someone who's been, spending his weekends watching 8-year-old basketball games, just trust me when I tell you, you don't have any idea what's going to happen in an 8-year-old basketball game other than the spacing's probably not going to be ideal. They're not great at keeping it spaced out. People flock to the ball a little too much. But, 8-year-old basketball, it is what it is. But at the professional level and at most levels of basketball, when the score is tied and you have it and the shot clock's off, you're in a situation where one of two things should happen here. We should end this in regulation, or at least take the lead with very little time left in regulation. If we don't win this in regulation or take the lead with very little time left in regulation, we should be in overtime. But the last thing that should happen, in fact, the only thing that cannot happen, is we somehow ended up in a situation where our game-winning opportunity actually becomes their game-winning opportunity in regulation, and we don't even get to overtime because they just beat us by a bucket. And yet that is exactly what happened last night to the Grizzlies. Put the ball in Desmond Bane's hands, which I guess theoretically I have no issue with. Ja Morant is unavailable. Jaren Jackson Jr. is unavailable. Your options are limited, but you put the ball in his hands and, he dribbled into some traffic, and Desmond Bane is a lot of things, but an A-plus ball handler is not one of them. And so he got his ball taken, and then they were just off and running. And it was just like, what? Like, the game really, that's the way this game just ended? Mm-hmm. It's just deflating. There was a college basketball game last week that ended in a very similar way, where same type of situation, tie game, Maryland has the ball, Jacoby Gillespie, and he just goes a little early and takes a long three-pointer, and it leads to a long rebound, and then the other team gets the ball and just, boom, half-court heave, the game's over, and Maryland fans are just stunned. Like, hold up. I've been watching basketball my whole life. I understood what was happening here. It's a tie game. We've got the ball. The shot clock's off. We're either going to win this, take the lead, or go to overtime. We're not about to lose just like that. Boom. Because you messed up end-of-game execution, you lost the game in regulation. It happened to Maryland last week. It happened to the Grizzlies last night. Obviously, nothing you can do about Jaren Jackson Jr.'s ankle. We all saw what happened. Now you just hope for the best. But Ja Morant was announced out of the game once again last night pregame. And this comes after he played Friday night. There isn't anything obvious that happened in that game. And yet he doesn't play Saturday because of shoulder soreness, and then doesn't play last night once again because of shoulder soreness. I gather Chris Harrington from the Daily Memphian asked Taylor Jenkins about this pregame last night. You know, everybody keeps saying that, you know, Ja's going to be ready to go when it's time to go, and you have confidence that Ja's going to be healthy when the playoffs come around. But my understanding is the way Chris presented it was like, what gives you that hope? What do you attach that hope to? And then Taylor just, you know, sort of said the type of things that coaches sometimes say when there's not a perfectly great answer to the question. But how big of a concern is that now, Bennett? Like part of Ja Morant's legacy at this point, for lack of a better word, is that he's an amazing basketball player who is not available to play basketball as often as you would like. And now here we are again. And when you're on a losing streak and things aren't going well, and the franchise point guard is once again in street clothes, it's a lot of stuff to dump on a fan base at one point. And it does feel like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like last night frustration might have hit an all-time high, at least for this season, inside of that building.
Yeah, I don't know how you can not be a little bit concerned. I mean, we did get, I think he played 5 in a row, you know, coming back out of All-Star. But I don't see how you can't be a little bit concerned, especially, you know, it was obviously the shoulder that he got surgery on. That's what they're saying, it's shoulder soreness. That's what it's been when he's missed these games. And the fact that they're starting to slip in the standings, they're down to 4 now. You need him. Obviously, you need him. We want him to play last night. And I do feel like that if he could have given it a go last night, that he would have played because they needed to win that game. So, yeah, I don't see how you can not be a little bit concerned at the situation. Hopefully it is minor, like Taylor Jenkins said, and hopefully once the postseason rolls around, he's ready to go. But, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a little nervous.
You say, and I understand what you mean, like if Ja was healthy enough to play last night, he would have played because they, quote, needed to win that game. But why did they need to win that game? Based off of their approach to the regular season. Like, what makes you think they needed to win that game?
Well, okay, that's a fair point. I mean, looking at it from my perspective, they have limped out of the All-Star break. Like, they could very well not have won a game coming out of All-Star break. They had to the comeback win at Orlando, and Kevin Durant misses a shot in the Phoenix game. Like, they could very, very well have not have won a game coming out of All-Star break. So
I get that. Here's my point. I, like you, I think they needed to win that game last night. But I, like you, also think they needed to win the game Saturday night against the Spurs. And they started John Conchar.
I'm with you.
So, like, I think sometimes you think they really need to win this game. And I think, man, it'd be nice if they won this game. But it doesn't feel like that is always the most important thing. In fact, there's, like, very little evidence to suggest that is always the most important thing. So I don't know if game 1 of the Western Conference Finals last night, if Ja could have played. If it's okay, it's a Monday night game against the Hawks in early March, not going to play. But if it were game 1 of the second round of the Western Conference playoffs, would play. I don't know the answer to that. What Taylor seemed to suggest last night pregame is that Ja's as tough as they come, and he really wants to play. And, you know, when the lights are on and the chips are down and whatever cliche you want to throw on top of those 2 cliches, he'll be ready to go. And I guess I would say, man, I hope so. But I do think sometimes it's important to think of it this way. He literally hasn't played 6 games in a row in years. Years.
Right.
Not weeks, not months, years. And I think it was me, you, and Jess on Friday started talking about the postseason and how this could unfold and what would be considered successful, what would be considered disappointing, What would have to happen for you to feel like you're in a good place moving forward? What could happen that would make you feel like you're not in a good place moving forward? And none of us believe that there's any scenario where the Grizzlies are eliminated in the first round of the playoffs and we think, hey, yeah, that's fine. If you are eliminated in the middle of Ja Morant's prime and Jaren Jackson's prime and Desmond Bane's prime, once again in the first round of the playoffs, I do not care about the context. I will just say this is not working. This is not going well. I'll keep my fingers crossed for next season, but at some point you're supposed to be doing it and you're not doing it. I don't bring that up to hammer that point as much as I bring it up to do this. If we all agree, and I think most Grizzlies fans would agree with this as well, that anything short of winning a playoff series and being competitive in a second-round playoff series would be widely disappointing, what that means is you've got to win at least 4 games to even get to the place where we want to get to. And if you want to advance out of that place, you got to win at least 4 more, which means you got to play a minimum of 8 games to get to the Western Conference Finals, and that's if you sweep through the first 2 series. It requires a minimum of 8 games. Ja Morant hasn't played 6 in a row in years. There is literally no evidence that he is likely to be available to play in all of the playoff games you need to get where you're trying to go. How concerning is that? It's concerning to me. Is it concerning to you?
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, like I've, this whole season, and I think me and you've been on the same page here. Prior to All-Star, they're second in the West. Yeah, guys have missed games. Yeah, he's missed games, but they're second in the West. Things are going good right now. They're winning games. They're in a good position. Now you're post All-Star and things are just starting to fall apart, and it's like, okay, where's this thing headed now at this point? And I think a lot of us would have thought, well, yeah, they're going to be ready to go. Once they get out of All-Star break, it's hit the ground running. Let's go. Everybody's playing all these games together. We're going to see what this group is going to look like as a playoff unit, and we're just not seeing it right now.
As it is, you're on a 3-game losing streak. You're 1-3 on this homestand, and you've got the best team in the West coming into your building on Wednesday. And we'll see if Ja Morant can play, but he hasn't played since last Friday. And Jaren Jackson Jr. did have to leave last night's game with what was described as an ankle injury. We'll get an update on that at some point from @Grizzlies PR, but people don't usually leave games with ankle injuries on a Monday and play again on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So we can be hopeful, but what I just said is true. Broadly speaking, basketball players, don't typically leave games on a Monday with an ankle injury and then show up ready to play on a Wednesday. So things could get worse before they get better, and then it's off to Dallas on Friday after the completion of this 5-game homestand. You want the updated numbers? It's now 38-23 on the season. The breakdown is 8-14 against top 6 teams in the East and West, 30-9 against everybody else. They're now 4th in the West, 1 game back of the Nuggets and Lakers, 1 game ahead of the Houston Rockets. If you want the good news is that they're just 1 game back of the Nuggets and Lakers. The Grizzlies could be back in second place by the end of the week if, things broke a certain way. But, based on what we've seen lately and the injury to Jaren Jackson Jr. last night, again, the most likely scenario is that things get a little bit worse, at least from a win-loss perspective, before they get better. As always, we'll see. We'll come back, turn our attention. College basketball. Fun Monday night doubleheader on ESPN last night. You had 2 of the top 3 teams in the country on display, Duke and Houston. Interesting developments for both programs. I'll walk you through that next. It's the Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedExForum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
If you go to a hustle game, you're going to see a very fast-paced game. A lot of action, both offensively, defensively.
Nice rejection right there.
In a great environment at the Landers Center. You could bring family there. Kids are running around.
Down the lane and one for Zion Poland.
And then you're going to see a lot of talented basketball players competing at a high level.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either, and that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings, and even on Saturday. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Final score, Duke 93, Wake Forest 60. It's a 33-point victory for the Blue Devils over an ACC opponent that people had projected as an NCAA tournament team in the preseason. At this point, not so much. Things aren't going perfectly for Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. They got to close the season strong, or else it looks like they're going to miss the field of 68 once again. If you're curious, Cooper Flagg was awesome. 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals, filling up the box score. And that was last night's Duke's 10th win in the ACC by at least 25 points, which makes Duke the first Division I men's college basketball team to win at least 10 conference games by at least 25 points since UNLV did it in the Big West in the 1990-91 season. So think of all of the great John Calipari Memphis teams and the way they rolled through Conference USA, all of the great Duke teams that Mike Krzyzewski coached, all of the great Gonzaga teams that have rolled through the WCC. Nobody has run through a league and just dominated and blown out as many people in one season as Duke has done this season in the ACC. And yes, that does say something, first and foremost, about Duke. That's the most talented team in the country. I think Auburn's the best, but Duke's the most talented. They've got at least 3 future first-round draft picks, probably more, including the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg. They've got a real rim-protecting center. They've got experience sprinkled, enough of it, I think, throughout the rest of the roster to go win the whole thing. That's the most talented team in the country. And this string of blowouts is evidence that that's one of the most talented. That's the most talented team in the country and one of the best. But it also highlights how bad the ACC has become. Like, it's not a coincidence that the last team to do this to a bunch of league opponents in this dramatic of a way was a UNLV team that also had multiple NBA players and was playing in a league that was subpar. And that's because right now, like the ACC likes to think of itself as a power conference because it is. And it's still a top 5 conference in America behind the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and the Big East. But do you realize right now in the net, KenPom, wherever it is you like to get computer numbers from, the ACC in terms of caliber is closer to Conference USA and the Atlantic 10 than it is the SEC and the Big 10. There are 18 teams in the ACC. 9 of them rank outside of the top 100 in the net. So, yeah, Duke is awesome, but the ACC is in a bad place right now. Syracuse, one of the biggest brands in the sport, just not very good. Virginia, one of the biggest brands in the sport, won a championship in 2019, just not very good. Too many of their big programs, Miami, Florida State, Pitt, programs that historically have been good, are just not good right now. And that's one reason Duke is running away with this thing. The main reason is that Duke is great. But the other reason is because the ACC is really, really down, and they got a bunch of hires to make in that league now. Miami, Florida State, Virginia. They need to get them right the way it appears. Louisville got it right with Pat Kelsey because too many of their good programs are in really, really bad places as of this moment.
Number 2.
After Duke wiped the floor with Wake Forest last night, the second part of the ESPN doubleheader was Houston, Kansas, and Kelvin Sampson's Cougars win again 65-59. And it's wild what they're doing in that league. They were, stars of the AAC in the league with Memphis, but people still would wonder, but if they were in the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the SEC, what would that look like? Well, we shoved them in the Big 12, and you know what it looks like? They are 35-5 against Big 12 competition since joining the league in advance of last season. If you count last season's Big 12 schedule, this season's Big 12 schedule, and last season's Big 12 tournament, 35-5 in a league that has been consistently called for more than a decade the best league in the country. They've now won back-to-back Big 12 titles by multiple games. They have a 4-game lead right now in the Big 12 standings. They have a 4-game lead over a Texas Tech team that is also ranked in the top 10 of the AP poll. They're just blowing through it. And the difference between Houston and Duke is that Duke is blowing through a league that doesn't really have any other great teams. The Big 12 does have other great teams, and Houston's running through it. Houston is treating the Big 12 as if it's the AAC. In terms of record, there's not much difference. They're just winning all of these games the way they won all these games in the AAC. It's why Kelvin Sampson is going to end up in the Hall of Fame someday. And at this point, even though we're still a ways away, like a week and a half away from Selection Sunday, 3 of the number 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament, they're basically already set at this point. Auburn could lose every game going forward and still be a number 1 seed. At this point, it feels like Duke and Houston also have number 1 seeds locked up. We're just fighting for that 4th number 1 seed at this point. Tennessee, Florida, Michigan State, maybe even St. John's in contention for it. But 3 of the 4, 75% of the number 1 seeds, after Houston and Duke were both able to add 2 more big wins last night, 3 of the 4 number 1 seeds, they seem pretty locked up.
Number 3.
WWE champion Cody Rhodes is reportedly legitimately injured after the beating he took inside the Elimination Chamber last night. And it's not necessarily injured from a beating delivered by The Rock or even John Cena. Turns out hip-hop superstar Travis Scott could have delivered the devastating blow. This sort of went viral over the weekend. It's now being confirmed by legitimate wrestling reporting outlets. And we're not allowed to show you WWE stuff, but there is a moment where Travis Scott is on top of Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes having been beaten, bloodied by John Cena and The Rock, and he delivers a shot, and you've seen it, Bennett. It land, and if you haven't seen it, just go to Twitter, type in Travis Scott, Cody Rhodes, it'll pop right up. He popped him pretty good.
Yeah, Travis Scott.
Him pretty good.
Oh yeah, and I don't think he realized that wrestling's Don't
say it. You
fixed,
don't say it.
That wrestling's
Scripted,
predetermined.
Scripted. It's scripted.
It's scripted. No, he punched him in the face. In the side of he punched him in the side of the head. You saw the video. I saw that. That was a clean strike.
I saw the video. Do you ever wonder what it's like to live in these people's world? Like how odd all of this must be. Like if you're Kylie Jenner, all right?
Okay.
The father of your children is in a stadium on Saturday night punching the world wrestling champion. Meantime, you're getting ready to go to the Oscars with Best Actor nominee Timothée Chalamet, who's your partner now. Meantime, your ex-brother-in-law's running around Malibu with a swastika shirt on. It's just like
when you put it like that.
It's just there's always a million things going on. Like you're somebody you have spent Thanksgiving with is always a big national headline at all times.
That does have to be a weird existence, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, did you see Daddy punch Cody Rhodes in the face last night, kids? Yeah, that was wild. Okay, cool. I'm going to the Oscars with Bob Dylan, and please don't let the kids get on TMZ because I don't want them to see Uncle Kanye running around in his Nazi shirt. Like, these are the types of conversations they must have in that household.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. I thought, again, the Travis Scott thing was so weird. I still am so confused to why. He's obviously like a big star, right? Like, I get that. And you always
you know why he's there? Because every 11-year-old in the world is walking around all day long going, fiend, fiend, fiend.
That's
fiend,
fair.
Fiend,
yeah,
fiend,
that's
fiend.
true. I just,
So much of this stuff is about going viral and clips. And I'm just telling you, as a father of 2 young boys, Travis Scott is a part of their life. You can like Travis Scott or not like Travis Scott. Just know that every young person in this world is very aware of Travis Scott. He is a super famous person.
Yeah, no, he is. And WWE's always done that. Like, they've always brought, whoever the big stars at the time, especially in music, or sports, they've always had them kind of involved in these big events. So I get it. But, someone should have told him beforehand, hey, Cody Rhodes is pretty important to this. Please don't go out there and bust his eardrum. I think that was the report that he, busted his eardrum. I doubt that's true.
They said a black eye and there's an ear issue.
An ear injury.
Whatever.
And he wasn't there last night. Cody wasn't on Raw last night. No.
No. Cena was not there. Cody was not there. CM Punk opened Raw. Did you
amazing.
Watch it?
I watched that. I saw a lot of it.
So CM Punk opened, and he's great. He's just really good at that.
Dude, he is so good on the mic. Every time that I kind of feel like, oh man, I wonder if he's kind of maybe not getting past his prime, he was just in an awesome match. But every time I kind of question it, he does something like that, and I'm like, okay, that dude is awesome. That was so good when he's making fun of The Rock doing his goosebumps, yeah, and going after Cena. I love that because him and Cena obviously used to have a big rivalry. That was good. Yeah, he was great. It was honestly a great show. I know we talked about it yesterday, and did we think that it was gonna, live up after the Elimination Chamber? And The Rock wasn't there, Cody wasn't there, Cena wasn't there, but I thought they did a good job without all those guys. It was a damn good show.
I've thought about this before. I'd be interested in having a real conversation with a real professional wrestler about this, in the sense that, if you're an actual, say, professional athlete. You're a basketball player or a football player, and you don't have the role that you want, right? You're a backup running back, but you'd like to be the starting running back. Or you're, a utility infielder, but you'd like to be the starting shortstop, right? You have aspirations that you haven't reached yet, but you're still chasing them. You can still constantly sort of be like, okay, well, I'm just going to outwork everybody. I'm going to be in the gym longer, or in the batting cage longer, or I'm going to have a great offseason, or it's sort of in your control. Not always, because ultimately this stuff does largely come down to talent, and you might just not have the talent. There are basketball players who can get in the gym every day and never compete with basketball players who don't get in the gym every day strictly because of the talent and athleticism and all of that stuff. But you get the point. It's sort of in your control. I'm going to go do this. And yet, if you are a professional wrestler, your entire career is left up to somebody else. Somebody else decides what you get to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Like you can't just decide I'm going to work as hard as I can.
Yeah, I'm going to go kill it. Well,
or just, hey, put me in there with them and I'll out-compete them, because it ain't up to you to out-compete them. It's like somebody's going to decide, no, whether you ever become what you want to become is not entirely up to you. You have to impress a certain people, and they have to decide to allow you to do it. And if you're CM Punk, like, I know I know he's doing what he's doing his job last night, but I bet you there is a real sentiment in there of, you dudes will fly, you asked me to open every one of these shows, and man, you like the pop I get when I walk out, and I'm carrying this microphone around and doing 20 minutes at a time, and I'm holding the audience, and everybody loves it, and you just keep putting people in front of me.
Yeah,
I bet you that's a real thing on some level.
That's why I really like him, because he is the one person in WWE and in wrestling, frankly, that it's obviously scripted, like you said, and they're discussing what the opening's going to be like and things like that. But he always does add like a touch of truth to all of his, all the promos that he cuts. Like there's always a little bit of truth in there with him, and I respect that about him.
Yeah, like to me, those are the best ones. I remember before I got back into watching wrestling, I just had it turned on one night because it was live from FedExForum, and it was a bit before Roman Reigns became tribal chief and all that. And there was a bit I remember, I believe, between maybe John Cena and Roman Reigns. And the whole bit was basically like, if you were better at doing this, I wouldn't even have to be here. I'm only here because you can't carry this organization the way I
think it was here. I think it was here.
Yeah.
I think that might have been here in Memphis. And that was yeah, it was like the infamous when Roman got really, and credit to him because he got so much better after that. But it was the one where Cena had him really tripped up, and he was like, "Just shut up for a second," and it was really cringe and uncomfortable. Yeah, but he got better after that.
But I like that when there's a little like you're doing the script, but you're also you're hitting him a little bit with some truth. Like, hey man, the only reason I have to be here is because you can't do this.
Right.
That's why I have to still be here because you can't do this. So you got a little bit of that last night, and then Rhea Ripley got beat. What was that about? Did you see that? Are you aware of this?
Disrespectful.
That's a little.
You don't take the title off of her before WrestleMania. I mean, what the hell was that?
That's Rhea Ripley.
I like Io Sky too. She's great, but come on, man. That's Rhea Ripley. How dare you? Why would they take the title from her before Mania? That's wrong.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and be like, what are they doing? Because I privately was sitting here last week like, what are they doing? And then they delivered on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to pretend that I know more about their industry than they do. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, what are these idiots doing? I'm confident they have a plan. Whether it's a good plan or not, we'll see. But I'm confident it wasn't just – they know how that was going to go over.
I didn't like that.
She's maybe the most popular woman wrestler there is. Like in terms of when she walks out, the place explodes.
I think that's accurate.
And so they have to be aware of that before they did what they did last night. So I'm assuming they have a plan. But I was surprised to see that. It's one of those deals where you get to Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and I'm always doing a million things. Like I've got Grizzlies on here and college basketball on here and WWE on here. I'm just having a party here in a hotel room by myself. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those where it's like, okay, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, whatever. But I know who's going to win. There's no way she's losing. And then I sort of see out of the corner of my eye, like, hold up, did she just get pinned? What happened? I had to rewind it. I was so sure of what was not going to happen that I wasn't even paying attention. And then it happened. I was like, what? And so I'm sure they have a plan because they know that was surprising for everybody. Mm. I'm sure they have a plan, but I'm not exactly sure what that plan is.
Number 4.
Breaking news this morning. Kyrie Irving, gone for the season, torn ACL. This comes after Anthony Davis was already injured in his first game with the Mavericks, after the organization has traded Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in what is one of the most one of the most unpopular personnel decisions in the history of American professional sports. And in the middle of all of this happening, the Dallas Mavericks yesterday afternoon announced that they are raising season ticket prices by 8.5% for next season. You can imagine how that went over.
Yeah, I would assume not well. I would assume not well.
What are they doing?
I don't know. That's
like. Do you remember when they traded Luka? First off, don't ever forget this. They traded Luka, and for 15 minutes, even though the report came from the most reputable NBA insider working today, for 15 minutes, nobody believed it was a real story. That's how ridiculous this was. You couldn't even believe it was true. All right?
Right.
That's where we start. That's where we start. It's so outrageous that you don't even believe it's true. Shams Charania has to literally get back on social media and say, guys, I swear I haven't been hacked.
Right.
People are calling him and they're saying, hey, I just talked to Shams. He's saying this is legit. He has not been hacked. Don't ever forget that's where we were. It was so outrageous that nobody even believed it was true for 15 to 20 minutes. All right. Then you try to explain it and it just becomes more infuriating for your own fans. Then Anthony Davis gets hurt first game with you, and it becomes even more infuriating with your fans. They are booing the owners, booing the GM. Even Dirk Nowitzki can't even defend it or explain it in any sort of intelligent way. And he's like the face of your franchise. And while all of that's going on, you say, you know what we should do next? Is hike ticket prices by 8.5%. I am somebody who, when this first happened and the conspiracies pop up immediately, well, you know, these people are the ones who bought the majority stake in the franchise, and they would love to move out of Dallas and get to Las Vegas, and so they're trying to torpedo the team. I was like, stop, calm down, all right? And I want to be clear. I'm still like, stop, calm down. I don't believe any of it. But if you're already wired to believe in conspiracies, they are doing a lot of things that would make you think they are trying to make their fan base hate them.
Right. No,
they traded the most popular player and then immediately raised ticket prices. Like, think about how crazy that is.
No, I look at, like, you know, our situation, and we're obviously struggling right now. But I still, it's been a good season overall, and hopefully they can turn this around and get back to their winning ways. I look at that situation, I'm just like, my God, you had a good team and you just like destroyed it and made your fan base furious. Like, they're gonna fall out of they're not even gonna be a play-in team, dude. It's crazy how far that thing has collapsed since the Luka move, obviously. But I mean, where's the optimism coming from? Like, Kyrie's got a torn ACL now. He's not going to be ready for next season. So you're not going to have Kyrie. Anthony Davis is always hurt. I mean, that's a bad situation right there.
Regardless of how up and down the season had gone, or how frustrated you got with Luka behind closed doors, or how much hookah he smoked, or how much beer he drank, you still had something your fans could believe in. They had just watched it go to the NBA Finals less than a year ago. You still had one of the greatest young talents in the world. You still had one of the greatest shot creators and shot makers in the world. It might not have ever resulted in a championship, but Jason Kidd could sit down going into the playoffs and say, hey, listen, nobody believed in us last year either, but you saw where we ended up. I've got Luka Doncic. I've got Kyrie Irving. As long as I got those two guys, we got a shot. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And you might not believe it, but if you're a Mavericks fan, you'd be like, all right, let's go. Okay, let's go. And you just rip all that away.
Yeah.
Now there's nothing to believe in. There is nothing to believe in the present. There's nothing to believe in the future. And you're watching you just created a Western Conference contender in LA by giving them your franchise player. Like, you have ripped away everything your fans have to believe in. And now you're asking them to pay more money. Like, think about in any other aspect of life how that would go over. If I'm trying to think of something else that you actually have to subscribe to or buy something to. Costco, okay?
Okay.
Let's say that Costco, whatever an annual membership to Costco costs, I don't know, let's call it $200. Okay, let's just say $200. Let's say it's $200, and you're like, that's a lot of money. I'm just handing to a place to simply be able to walk in there. But my 3 favorite foods in the whole world happen to be available at Costco and nowhere else. So that's just a price I'm willing to pay. All right? I love Costco. Why? Because of this food, that food, and that food, and you can get them at Costco. And as long as you can get those things at Costco, buddy, I'll pay my annual membership fee every year. Imagine Costco knows this. They know that those are your 3 favorite foods, that those are most people's 3 favorite foods, that the reason most people come into Costco on a weekly basis is to get these 3 things. This is the whole business. This is whatever. You could poll all your Costco customers, and they'd say, my favorite thing about Costco is one of these 3 things. Now, imagine Costco is very aware of this, have been aware of this for years, and then Costco does this, announces they have traded all 3 of those things to Sam's Club. You can no longer get them at Costco. You can keep coming to Costco. We'd love to have you. But those 3 things that you love more than anything else, they're at Sam's Club now with LeBron. Okay? We don't have those things anymore. The things you loved about us, we don't have those things anymore. All right? So now you're already mad. You're already like, Jesus Christ, Costco. That's why I came to your place. That's why I bought the annual membership. That's why I kept the card in my glove box, so that anytime I was near one, I could just pop in and come get my 3 favorite things. Why would you move my 3 favorite things to a competitor? And they say, oh, and just before they even answer that in a way that satisfies you, they say, oh, and by the way, starting next year, it's $250 to get in. No longer $200. But you don't even have, I don't even know if I want to come anymore. You took all my favorite things and you put them at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now I need more money. I need more. If you want to keep coming to this thing you don't even want to come to anymore, I need more money from you. Think about if Costco did that, how ridiculous it would be. That is more or less what the Mavericks just did.
And, like, especially because I still think, again, like, as disastrous as that whole thing was and how it all went down, like, I still think coming into next year, because they're not going anywhere this season, we know that. I still think coming into next year, if you're trying to sell it to your fan base, you could say, okay, well, Kyrie's one of the great players in the world. So is Anthony Davis. Like, we're going to build around. Hey, we're also going to go get Kevin Durant. Like we're going to be able to build something good here. Well, again, now you're probably not having Kyrie for the start of next season. If you're Kevin Durant, why would you want to go there? Like, that's another thing. Like why would you want to go there if you're Kevin Durant? And Anthony Davis, like, yeah, he's a great player, but he's not like a number 1 option. We've seen that before when he was a number 1 option. And he's hurt a lot too. I mean, I just don't know how you sell it to your fan base at all.
I have no idea. I would hate to work in.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. You know, there are people who work in our building whose job it is to pick up the phone and call people like actual humans and be like, hey, this is Judy from the Dallas Mavericks. And I know you have had season tickets for 4 years, and I noticed you haven't renewed yet. So I was just seeing if you were interested in renewing for next season. Are we going to have Luka back? Oh, no. Is Kyrie going to be available? No. He just tore his ACL. What about Anthony Davis? Oh, yeah, he should be fine. Well, yeah, you told me that, but he's never fine. So, and what are tickets going to cost again? Same as last season? Oh, no. More expensive than last season. Good luck.
Yeah,
good luck with that one.
That's a tough spot. That's a tough spot.
They did it to themselves, Bennett. They did it. They let Nico Harrison do it to themselves. Just a ridiculous situation.
Number 5.
ESPN has published its grades for all 30 MLB franchises. Your off-season grades. Go ahead and ask me if you're curious who got the best grade.
I would assume it's your New York Mets.
No, Los Angeles Dodgers got the best grade.
Well, that goes without saying. They always do.
They figured out a way to just get all the best players to take deferred money.
It's not fair.
It doesn't feel fair.
It's not fair.
I can't complain as the fan of a team who is also spending outrageously. I can't complain about the Dodgers.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, I am more like the Dodgers than I am not like the Dodgers, right?
Yeah,
so I can't complain about the Dodgers, but the Dodgers, they did get an A+. But the Mets got an A. When is payroll is?
You go ahead.
When is what? You say it.
Opening day. When is that? It ain't that far, is it?
No, it ain't that far, buddy. It's like end of this month.
That's crazy.
I'm fired up.
Baseball comes back too fast.
No, it's perfect. It's
the same with the NBA. They come back too fast.
Maybe I could put it off another 2 weeks. I'll tell you what I love about it. Baseball, once college basketball starts, I don't have time to do some of the things that I enjoy doing. Like, I've played golf twice since the start of the college basketball season, and only once since the beginning of December. In the offseason, I would like to play golf multiple times a week. During the season, I don't have – it gets cold and the weather takes away some days from you, but I just don't have time to – or I don't have much time to be spending 3.5, 4 hours on a golf course. And so I just get consumed with work, and it really does just fly by. Like, it is crazy to me the season's almost over because it feels like it just started. Now, I've just been going nonstop, but I just sort of get into a routine where it's work. I don't have a lot of time for much else. But then college basketball ends, and you know what starts immediately? Baseball. And when baseball ends, college basketball starts right back up. Like, the seasons. Oh yeah, they're just almost fit perfectly together on the calendar. Baseball starts, college basketball ends, baseball ends, college basketball starts. It's within weeks of each other. The beginning lines up with the end, and the end lines up with the beginning. So the start of baseball, when I see pitchers and catchers reporting in Florida and Arizona, that's almost like a trigger to me. Like, all right, you're almost at the finish line.
Hit the stretch run, yeah.
It's like it makes me happy when I see Mets players running around in Florida in shorts and T-shirts and baseball, with gloves and balls, because it makes me realize baseball's almost here, which means college basketball's almost over, which means living in a hotel room is almost done for a little while. So I love it. It might come back a little too soon because you try to go to a baseball game in Chicago or New York in late March, early April, you better put your hoodie on. It's going to get a little cold. But I don't mind it. I love baseball season, and it's almost here. The Mets did get an A. Payroll down $5 million from last season, and that's even with the addition of the great future Hall of Famer, Juan Soto. Orioles got a grade. You want to guess what it was?
I'm going to say, what's the, are we just going like A through F?
A plus is the best. Yeah. F minus would be the worst. Anything in between is in play.
I'm going to say a C plus.
C minus.
Yeah.
C minus.
They didn't do anything.
But payroll went up $58 million. You add Charlie Morton. That's the biggest thing. Is that the biggest thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you lose Corbin Burns.
You're hoping that all the young guys improve. I mean, they had a good young roster last year. You're hoping those guys get better. But no, they didn't do anything. They never do anything.
Well, my favorite team did something. And
Congrats.
You should get you one of the wealthiest people in the world to own your favorite baseball team. I tell you, it's more fun than you realize.
I mean, they got new ownership, so hopefully maybe they'll spend some money at the deadline or something. We'll see. Hopefully they got a good record. They'll spend some money at the deadline. We'll see what happens. But am I optimistic? Absolutely not. Come on.
The Cardinals, I see somebody pointing it out in the chat, and it is true. The Cardinals got an F. No major additions. Like, that's a proud baseball city, man.
Dude, they have fallen off, yeah.
They're not even trying.
No.
Like, they're not even trying.
That's a weird deal. Yeah.
They don't even, like, they go out and get Nolan Arenado. Now they want to move him, but they didn't even get him moved. It's just kind of a mess. Like, how do you let that – how do the Red Sox and the Cardinals let their franchises fall?
I know, man.
In those ways, given how much they matter in those markets.
Right. Yeah, that's the show in St. Louis. I know they got the Blues too, but they care.
It used to be like you just go to a Cardinals game in the summer and it feels like this is what baseball ought to be.
Yeah.
And like last season, nobody went to the games. It was empty. Like that big ballpark, just empty.
Yeah. Like here, how people care about the basketball teams, that's how it is there. Like they're listening to everything, want to hear everything about their team. Like, and yeah, there's going to be problems. Yep.
Yeah, just a mess. Feel bad for Cardinals fans.
Me
Feel
too.
bad for Red Sox fans. There's nothing worse than having an ownership group that should be able to put your franchise in a position to compete with the biggest and the best, and for whatever reason, they just choose not to do it. But that is what's happening in Boston and what appears to be happening in St. Louis on some level as well. Be back with GP's Carryout.
We did get a new shoe that dropped today that we should all be able to get if we want it.
Fire.
And it's been one people have been waiting for a long, long time.
Yep.
Asia Wilson. What do you guys think about the shoe?
I love it.
It looks great. We see people wearing Jaws. We see a lot of people wearing the GT line, but then also we see a lot of NBA players wearing the Sabrinas.
Yeah.
I bet you there's gonna be a lot of NBA players wearing.
I agree with you on that.
too.
Oh, yeah.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing at FedExForum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York. Bennett Doyle back inside the Built Ford Tough studio, FedExForum downtown Memphis. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on your Memphis Grizzlies. Another tough loss last night at the buzzer. I'd argue the toughest loss at the buzzer because that's one where you had the ball.
Get that cough out, man. Get that cough out. No, you know why it's one of the toughest losses, GP? Because it's the third straight time it's happened. Like, how? Okay, Roser had this last night. I forgot to even mention this in the open. That is the first time that has happened to a franchise since, I want to say, 2002. Yeah, I want to say he said it was 2002. Maybe it's Seattle Supersonics. Were they still a franchise in 2002? I think they were.
I got it from Sean Coleman last night, who's always tweeting.
He is the GOAT. Love Sean Coleman.
Love Sean Coleman. Radio shows all over the greater Memphis area are benefiting from Sean Coleman's tweets. This was what he presented last night. The Grizzlies have now lost 3 straight games by 2 or less points via an opponent's game-winning shot within the final 3 seconds of the game. And that makes the Grizzlies the first NBA team to experience such a streak since Seattle at Christmas of 2002. So if it feels like your heart has been ripped out,
It has.
in unusual ways in 3 consecutive games, that's because it has been. And last night, I think, was the dumbest, because you've got the ball in your hand, shot clock off, tie score. Best case scenario, you win this at the buzzer. Worst case, next best case scenario, you take the lead with not much time left in regulation. Worst case scenario should be, all right, you miss a potential game winner, but didn't leave enough time on the clock for them to do anything with a potential defensive rebound. We're headed to overtime. The last thing that should happen is turnover. They're off and running in transition, layup at the buzzer, game's over. What?
Crazy.
If my 8-year-old basketball team lost a game like that, I would be like, well, that was stupid. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And this was a professional basketball team doing something that just a stupid way to lose a game.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that.
For sure. And I think just like, dude, they were up 10 with 5.5 minutes left.
That's the other thing. I mean, it just gave it away. Just gave it away.
Could not
You focus so much on the final turnover, the game shouldn't even come down to a. You know what should have been happening in the final seconds with the shot clock off? Desmond Bane standing out there dribbling out the clock.
Yep.
While Jay Huff hugs somebody that he used to be teammates with. That's what should have been happening in the final seconds of that game.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be in a position where Desmond Bane needs to go make a play that results in a turnover, that results in a transition opportunity the other way. A layup at the buzzer to win the game. So the whole thing was just stupid.
And I felt so sick for Dez because he had a massive game, a 35-point triple-double, was the first triple-double of his career, dude. And to lose it like that, 20 turnovers last night, man. I mean, that has been the story of the season. Like, that's even when they were winning a ton of games, the turnovers have just been plaguing them this whole year. So, rough night.
Rough night. Hey, tomorrow night's a new night. Bennett, tomorrow night's a new night.
A Thunder in town. I'm optimistic.
We'll see about John Morant's availability at a later time. We'll get an update on Jaren Jackson Jr. at a later time. But tomorrow's a new night. And I know it might seem daunting. Losing streak, injured roster, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Mr. 50-pointer coming into FedExForum with the number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. I know it might sound daunting. I choose to look at it. You know how I am, Bennett. I choose to look at it with optimism. I choose to look at this as an opportunity to shock the world on ESPN.
Okay. I mean, I will say, because we, like you said at the beginning of the show, like we try not to put too much stock into one single NBA game. You try to look at these things in sample size. I will say a win tomorrow night would go a long way. I think it would go a really long way.
I choose to look at it as an opportunity.
Okay.
To get things turned around and to remind the world that even though you're on a 3-game losing streak and things aren't perfect, you still have the grit and grind that they've long talked about that would give you a puncher's chance against anybody on a random Wednesday night inside FedExForum. I choose to look at this as an opportunity. But I recognize it's going to be tough. It's going to be a late tip tomorrow night, Bennett.
Yeah.
We're going to do it at...
Go ahead.
It's technically listed 8:30 Central.
We're looking at like 8:45, bro.
You're probably looking closer to about an 8:45 tip. So if you got homework to do, kiddos, get your homework done after school because you're going to be too tired to get it done after the game's over. You get your homework done after school. You let Uncle GP tell you get you practice your spelling words after school.
Thanks, Uncle GP.
And then we'll stay up late and we'll watch the Grizzlies. But we're not going to do one of those days where we'll say, I'll study after the game. You will not study after the game. You'll be tired after the game. You probably won't even be awake when the game ends, all right? So don't come in here trying to bullshit me with you'll do your spelling words after the game. We're going to do our spelling words after school. We're going to get everything knocked out. and then we'll watch the game together, and then you will fall asleep in the third quarter, and then I'll wake you up in the morning, and then I'll tell you what happened. But we're doing our homework first, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
that sounds good. All right.
What's today's biggest game?
I think
It's a
Uncle
big night.
Gary. I think Uncle Gary's more appropriate. Uncle GP doesn't have the same ring to it. I like Uncle Gary. That
Gary,
sounds like a
Uncle Gary.
real uncle.
I am an Uncle Gary. I don't know if I'm a good uncle, but I am an uncle. I exist as one.
I'm an uncle too. Bet you didn't know that.
Do you think you're a good uncle?
Yeah. Well,
Why?
my niece lives in Baltimore, so like I don't get to see
So
her
much
that
easier
often.
to be a good uncle in Baltimore.
Yeah, but when I see her, I think I'm a good uncle to her. Yes.
I don't know if I'm a good uncle. Sometimes I feel like I am, and sometimes I feel like maybe I'm lacking a little bit. You know, whatever. It's a big night. Penny Hardaway's Tigers.
Oh, let's
realize
go. Let's go. Let's clinch.
They could secure at least a share of the AAC title for the first time in Penny Hardaway's college coaching career tonight. 6 o'clock tip on ESPN Plus. You could be streaming history tonight, Bennett.
I will be streaming.
You could be streaming Tiger basketball history tonight. It's the Memphis Tigers, the 16th ranked Memphis Tigers at UT San Antonio. It's Tigers against Roadrunners. You know how that should go. Memphis is a 9.5-point favorite. The total is 158.5. How are you going to act?
Okay.
You got to win last night. You believed in
did,
Bill Self to cover that number, and he did cover that number.
I thought for a second they might outright win the thing, but Kelvin Sampson's awesome. Okay, this is weird because the Tigers this whole season have not been good at covering. They have not in these games that they're favored in. So my gut would tell me to take UTSA here in this situation, but my heart is telling me otherwise, GP. My heart is telling me otherwise. The opportunity is right there. 2 more games against 2 bad teams. Go out there, blast both of them, lock up this regular season title, and then let's just go run through the conference tournament too and get a 5 seed. 5 seed?
I think a 5 seed would be possible. If you went out, I think a 5 seed is possible. I would tell Memphis fans, and I'm not complaining. I don't care. The AP poll can rank Memphis wherever it wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it has Memphis 16 right now. Just know that there is literally nothing in the data that would support 16. Nothing. Nothing. If you're ranked 16th in the country, that equates to a 4 seed. There is no bracket that would have Memphis projected as a 4 seed today. Not any bracket from any reputable person. So when you see things like Jerry Palm has Memphis as a 6 seed or whatever, Jerry and Joe Lenardi has them as a whatever, and you go, but we're 16th in the AP poll. Those people, I saw this posted somewhere. It's just some random Memphis fan. And it's like, look at these brackets. These people don't know what they're doing. I say this as respectfully as I could say it. Do you really think you, as just some random Memphis fan on Facebook, think you know more about putting a bracket together than Joe Lenardi and Jerry Palm? It's just a silly thing to think. You just don't know what you're doing. But that it's in part because that AP ranking is misleading. I'm happy for them to be 16th in the AP poll because it looks good. But that is not the way the selection committee views Memphis at all. But to your point, if they were to win out, could they get a top 5 seed? Sure. Maybe even top 4. But taking another loss will not allow that. And if we were doing the bracket today, it would not be that. Either way, let's focus on the good. You have a chance right now tonight to secure at least a share of the AAC title. And given that you weren't picked to win that, that's a real accomplishment.
Yeah,
Memphis football was picked to win its conference championship. Just didn't get it done. Memphis basketball was not picked to win the AAC. Should have been, but they weren't for some reason. Now you're on the verge of winning a league title. That's good stuff. I don't have much interest in people trying to talk about as it pertains to this. The AAC stinks. It does. I agree. But this is the only league you're in. It's the only league title you can win. And the other coaches in the league did not pick you to win it, didn't think you could, either because they didn't believe in your roster or more likely your coach. And now you have a chance to prove them all wrong tonight by going to San Antonio and knocking out some Roadrunners. I say you do it.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, if they play like they did on Sunday, they're going to win this game by 20 points. If they play like they did Sunday, they're going to destroy this team tonight. And I really hope that they do. Like, again, you got this one. You got South Florida here this weekend. Two bad teams. I talked about the celebration in the locker room yesterday. I just don't want it to be premature, man. Or in the locker room that they had on Sunday. I don't want it to be premature. Like, just go blast these two teams. Take care of business. Like they should.
I don't think it has to be premature. I don't think that celebration has to do with anything other than
it was just a good win.
And it was just a good win on the road, hostile environment. They tried to make it the Super Bowl. They tried to make it 1 versus 2. This is the game of the season, one of the biggest games in the history of Bartow Arena, and we went down there and smacked them around. They got the preseason player of the year. Our guy outplayed him last time. He popped off a little bit on social media, went out and outplayed him again. Like, let's celebrate that. I think you can celebrate all that stuff, and it's got nothing to do with jobs not finished. Enjoy what you did on Sunday.
That's
you did
right.
Something on
You're
Sunday.
right, actually. Yep, I agree.
Enjoy that. Enjoy what you did on Sunday because you did something good on Sunday. Celebrate that. But then recognize, to quote Kobe, job's not done. Job's not finished. Tonight, you can not finish the job, but this is true. And I always reference Wikipedia only because it's just the easiest place to go look up accolades and records and how many Final Fours has Tom Izzo been to? The easiest place to find that is just Wikipedia immediately, right? Tomorrow morning, Penny Hardaway could go to his Wikipedia page, and as long as somebody updates it, it could say AAC champion. Right now, it doesn't say that. It could be on his Wikipedia page tomorrow. AAC champion. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget, this guy got hired straight out of East High School, had never worked on a college campus, and there were plenty of people who thought it was a joke. There were plenty of people who said you can't just hand over your program to an AAU coach. And I know it has not all gone smoothly. But he is 40 minutes away probably from winning a Division I men's college basketball conference championship. That's awesome. I hope he gets it done tonight. Tip at 6 o'clock. You can stream it on ESPN+.
What are we watching on TV?
Eye on College Basketball Podcast will be back on CBS Sports Network in 45 minutes. We'll start at noon Central, opening on the two big results from last night, Duke over Wake Forest, Houston over Kansas. So if you haven't set your DVR yet, CBS Sports Network, noon, and you can watch me right after the Chris Vernon Show.
What's the best thing we've read?
I updated the top 25 and 1 on Duke winning by 33 last night. 10th victory in the ACC by at least 25 points. No team since the early 90s has won this many conference games by 25-plus points. They are rolling through the ACC, in part because they're great, in part because the ACC is not great. If you haven't read that yet, you can find it at cbssports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow will be Wednesday, so we'll get you ready for Grizz, Oklahoma City. We'll look back at Tigers Roadrunner. Should be a fun show. Chris Vernon will join me. He'll help us get ready for Grizz Thunder. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Be back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedExForum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Morant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing at FedExForum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Bain drives.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead.
Yeah!
Jaren with a knockaway.
Good defense.
Morant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting.
Let's go, let's go.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.